Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin Cassiotis. I'm a business strategist who help business owners grow and scale to create wealth and freedom. And today, I have an awesome guest. She's a private client advisor and co-founder of Happy Life Results, LLC. She has been described by the world's #1 wealth and business coach, JT Foxx, as the happiest person on the planet. And she brings her incredible passion and energy as the Chief Results Officer on your team, never quitting until you get success. And Stacy is the mother of 7 vibrant children, yes, 7, an author, award-winning speaker, health enthusiast, and world traveler. And her passion is helping you get what you want while keeping what matters most. Welcome, Stacy McPherson, and thank you for being on my show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Athin. Thank you for hosting me, and thank you for that fantastic introduction. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. It's awesome to have you here. You're very welcome. I'm sure it's going to be amazing value for everyone watching and listening today. So you're a very successful entrepreneur. So for those people who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself by telling us about you and your journey.
Okay, thank you. So I'll tell you a little bit where I started. So I focused mainly on raising my 7 children. I gave birth to all 7 of them. They're mine. And I focused on being a mother for the first maybe 20 years. And then my oldest, he has his own 3 children. So now I'm a grandmother of 3. So that's an exciting and part of my life, is to be a grandma. And I've just been able to grow my business a little by little when the kids were young, but now I'm able to focus so much more on it. My youngest child is 13 years old and my oldest is 30. And so I have a lot more time to focus on my business and grow my business. And I'll tell you a little bit about why I started my business. I had some personal growth and transformation that just changed my life. I wasn't always the happiest person on the planet, I promise. It was a growth and discovery journey. And when I had that journey, I could see the difference. Like, how was I before? And like observe how I was before and remember, and then how I am now. And I was like, I want to share this with people. And so that's when I decided to be a coach and be able to influence people. And so I help them grow their business, and I help them do it in a sustainable way. So that's kind of my background.
Yeah, awesome. Great story. Very powerful. And I'm looking forward to delving a bit more deeper into that as well. Because yes, we all go on a great growth journey through our business world. And yeah, I love business, of course. And I love mindset as well, because I think mindset is a very important part of business there, because we can, teach 10 people the same thing and we get 10 different results. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about like mindset in business, and maybe some tips or something that you can give some people how to, help that mindset to get them where they want to be.
I love that. Yes. Mindset's so powerful. And I love how you say that you'll, tell some 10 people the same idea and you'll get 10 different results. And mindset it's like we all bring something to the table that's unique, our life experiences, our personality. And then when we implement whatever it is, it's going to be unique to us. And so it represents our mindset, I love how you kind of even expanded the traditional view of what mindset is. Are you happy or sad or motivated or not, into a kind of more than that. So I really like that aspect of it. So then for me, I have embraced an idea, and it's a very simple idea, but in theory, but it's not simple in being able to change your whole life to implement it. And I'll share that idea with you in a story. Okay, so you're walking along on a sidewalk, and it's a beautiful day. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and you look around and you see up ahead something kind of sparkling and glittering on the sidewalk. And you're like, I wonder what that is. And you go closer to check it out. And as you get to the sparkly glittery thing, you see it's a pile of broken glass. Well, you came prepared today. You have strong, sturdy shoes that would protect your feet. You could just march right through that glass, no problem. Or you could reach down and unlace your shoes and take them off and walk in the glass barefoot and have the glass cut your feet. So you have these options available to you. And most people would say, they would only walk through the glass with their shoes on. They would never take their shoes off. But if we take this analogy and say that the broken glass represents the problems and the difficulties in life, and the shoes represent an optimal, ideal emotional state, and I wouldn't even go so far as to use the word happy, I would say optimal, because you know what's optimal for you in every situation, what will give you the very best results. So in this case, you can take your shoes off and deal with the problem in a lower or less optimal emotional state. You'll be in pain. You won't handle it well. You'll have residual effects that are negative, or you can have these sturdy, comfortable shoes on that protect you. So I was able to embrace this idea. So the theory, I have a choice to choose my internal emotional state, and it can be optimal. And when it's optimal, I get the best results. So that was my really simple idea. So take this simple idea into life. Rubber hits the road, like life experience. I'm the mother of 7. I travel internationally. We've lived in 3 different countries in the last 10 years, 4 different countries. And just the ups and downs of life compacted by so many people, and then moving and getting them settled in a new place with school and everything. It's just add to that quite a bit of glass in life. There's quite a bit of glass there, right? You're in a country, you don't know the language, you don't even know what you like to eat, and you don't know how to get around, and the signs are all in a foreign language. So add a bunch of glass to that and say, okay, now, Stacy, choose your optimal internal state. And I can continue my experience and my journey as we get further, but I wanted to focus especially on mindset. And that is because of your question, what is mindset? And for me, it's being able to consistently choose an optimal internal state, regardless of the glass in life. That's my view.
Yeah, awesome. Very powerful. I love the story around it and different way of looking. It's like a different frame, of how to look at situations and things like that, which is really powerful. And now there's always going to be some people that will be like, oh yeah, it's easy to say that and everything like that, right? Because and I would say that a lot of the reasons for that is because of their habits, right? Because our habits also help our mindset to, sort of supercharge it, right, over time and things like that. So I'd love to hear about some success habits, because we need great habits to be successful in business. So yeah, share us your thoughts around success habits and maybe an example of something that we can do as well.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. It's the habits. And I kind of use the word patterns because habits sometimes people think are very hard to change. They have this pre-existing idea that habits are hard to change. So I talk about patterns, and if you see a pattern and you want to change the pattern, it seems like they feel more capable, but it is a habit. It's just a different word, interchangeably using patterns instead of habits. So we have these patterns in our lives that bring about actions that are instinctive. We don't have to think about them anymore because we created something to just kind of push play, and then this thing happens. This is how I respond to this situation, or this is what I do in this scenario, because we can't always be readapting in every moment of our lives. We have to have these patterns and habits that help us to be able to function. And so when you look at happiness, and you said, oh yeah, it's easy to say that in theory. And for me, it was just theory at the beginning. I didn't have any experience with consistently being able to feel the way I wanted to feel. And so in my journey, I was able to realize ahead of time, like today, when I am faced with this circumstance, and this circumstance, I'm going to choose my positive internal state. But what ended up happening at the beginning of my journey, and has also been the case with many of my clients, is that they get to the end of the day and then go, oh yeah, I was supposed to do that. I forgot. So it was like an end of the day thing. So it started like once a day at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. And then they're like, okay, I didn't do it. So as we practiced and cemented these ideas and changed the pattern by doing pattern interrupts, and I can talk more about pattern interrupts later, but just changing what you normally do on purpose so that your brain has an opportunity to choose. We want to isolate this moment where you're taking your shoes off and create this space. It's this beautiful pause and this beautiful space where you're thinking, I could take off my shoes, but I choose not to. And for a lot of people, they don't have that space. So we're creating it. And so I'm sharing with you my story, how I didn't have the space. And then gradually, instead of just evaluating at the end of the day, I'd evaluate at the end of the episode, so to speak, when I took my shoes off. And I would evaluate and say, oh, I just took my shoes off, but I was still kind of in the moment. And so that was better. It was better to evaluate right after. And so then slowly, as I reinforced this idea, and the idea is so simple, right? It's a simple idea, but I reinforced it until it started happening in the middle. I'm in this episode of frustration, whatever kind of negative emotion, which can happen, and you're frustrated. And then I realized, oh, I get to choose. But guess what happens? If you've already started to run a program or a pattern or a habit, it's not the best time to change it because your emotional state is lower. You don't have all of the capacity your brain needs to change. So in the thick of it, in the worst moment of the time, that's not when change happens. It's not the most optimal time to change. But to realize you can change in that moment, it's exciting. It's frustrating because I'm saying it's not the most optimal time to change, but it's exciting because now I brought my level of awareness from after the day was done to after the episode was done to the middle. And in the middle, this is when people want to say, Stacy, why can't I just flip a switch? Why can't I just say, oh, now I know I can be happy. Now I know I can choose my positive internal environment. I know I can keep my shoes on. Why can't I do it? And the answer is in your question. What are the habits that brought you to that point? And what are your strategies, Stacy, for dealing with it? And so what I want to just say is when you're in the thick of it, in that moment, that's not the best time. So what you want to do is you want to be proactive about when you choose to think about these things and actually set aside time to plan and prepare for events that will happen that day. And then see how you can actually prepare so that you have a new strategy in place, a pattern interrupt. And so I can tell more about that, but let's just say that, or let me just explain that at the beginning of my moment where I started to head into that frustration, unhappiness, even boredom, even that's not an optimal internal state, boredom. And so I'd be heading into this scenario, whatever it is. And this is where it was powerful, is I was able to catch that moment at the beginning, right before I dropped, right before I went into that negative state. And I was like, I get to choose. And of course, when we're given the opportunity to choose, who's going to say, I want to feel that way? Like we don't really want to feel less than optimal if we can choose. And so I isolated that moment in not just one area of my life, but systematically going through each area of my life until I was able to have the immediate first instinct to be, I feel the way that I want to feel. And that was cause for celebration. I can tell you that.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. Really, really powerful on all those steps and how when to do things, when not to do things. It's I love the detail, and I love the word pattern interrupt. And I'm an NLP master practitioner. They talk a lot about pattern interrupts and things like that with mindset. And you've been talking about, a lot of people are probably thinking, come on, give me a little bit more on this there. So maybe just talk a little bit more about the pattern interrupt area, because I'm sure it's on a lot of people's minds.
Okay. So just be aware that it will be the most natural thing for you to do to keep running the patterns you've been running. Whatever you've done in the past, that's what's going to be the easiest. Even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's not getting you the results that you want, just realize that that's the path of least resistance. Anything I've been doing is what I'm going to keep doing. And if you get this idea, you want to change, you got it in theory. You didn't get it in practice. You have to actually put it into your new way of living. And so there's a process that you can do to take it just from a theory, from an idea, like, oh, Stacy said I can keep my shoes on. And by the way, I just want to share this with you. It's been really helpful to share this story with people I know and also with my children, because when I share it, I'm sharing with them part of my ideology. What is it? Ideology? Oh, goodness.
Ideology, yes.
Ideology. Yes. I'm sharing that with them. And I'm sharing that I'm actually a person who takes responsibility for my emotional state. And when you do that, when you take responsibility for your emotional state and you share that with people around you, then it is very powerful. So for example, like think of this, my child runs down the stairs, they can't find their shoes, they're frustrated, they're yelling at everyone and they're saying, you put my shoes somewhere, I can't find them. And they're just upset. They're blaming their external environment for their internal state. How do the people in the room respond? Like they can respond any way they choose, but the gut reflex for a lot of people is to want to avoid that person when they're in that state. And they don't really feel like helping them when they're being so demanding. So then contrast that with a child who comes down the stairs. And it's funny that I said I can't find my shoes as my analogy, or as my story, because if the child comes down the stairs and says, I dropped internally, I took off my shoes, I'm frustrated. So they're owning their internal emotional state. They're taking responsibility for it. And then they're asking for help. Can someone help me find my shoes? And so it's so powerful. I can't even tell you, like this single idea has helped me in my parenting more than any other idea, is for me to take responsibility for my emotional state and teach that to my kids. So even when we're upset, even when we take our shoes off, we're owning it. We're saying, I did it. I'm taking responsibility for it. And whenever you do that, it's amazing what it does for the people in the room. They just rally. They're like, how can I help? What do you need? I can help you. Did you look under the bed? I can totally look with you. You know, like you get the support and the camaraderie, you know, that feeling in a family environment. Same with the business environment. I have 3 partners right now in my business. And so to see the difference when I'm taking responsibility for my state, and then it's part of our business culture as well, is for them to take responsibility. And then we work together on a solution instead of who's right, who's wrong, you know, all of that. So just to kind of give you some background on when you do make the transition and when you are in the process of, it's very beneficial to tell people around you that this is what you're trying to do, because it helps you reinforce it. So tell your kids, tell your best friend, tell your spouse, say, hey, I'm working on this idea of not taking my shoes off. And then if you get upset and you tell them, hey, I took my shoes off, it can reinforce the idea, make it more from theory to practical application when you're bringing someone else in. So that's one method of pattern interrupt, is to bring someone else on your team to support you. People hire coaches and the coaches tell them exactly what they need to do, you know, like especially in sports, like move the ball this way and kick this way and all of this, very specific, and train in this way. They bring someone in for accountability, but also to help them fine tune whatever it is they're doing. So whenever we share with others, they can help us fine tune our change, facilitate our pattern interrupts. So that's one, and I have many others to get to.
That's all good. That's awesome. I love that. That's a really powerful one, a simple one for people to do. And one thing I'll just add, like, you know, Stacy mentioned there, was about your state, right? So, you know, if you're in a bad state, well, one thing that I do, and I think I recommend for others, is give yourself some self-accountability on how quickly you will go back to your optimal, as the word that Stacy used, state. How long are you going to give yourself? Now, at the start, it may be a bit more challenging. Maybe you give yourself an hour. Maybe it's the end of the day, right? But realistically, it should be within 15 minutes. You should be within a few minutes, right, of that incident, where you can regulate that and get back to your optimal state. So that would be something that I would say to everybody, is to work that muscle so that you can go back quickly, because you don't want to have a bad thing happen in the morning and then you're screwed for the rest of the day, right?
Exactly.
You know, that will completely wreck your day. So you've got to be able to switch that in what you're doing. So love all those things as well. And that was just one little extra bit that I wanted to add there. And you know, a lot of people are doing all this stuff, and they want to build their business, but you know, a lot of people can get to potentially the stage of burning out, which is very bad, right? So you know, we want to be able to do it in a sustainable way in how we're doing it with our energy. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on, you know, how we can build a business without burning out, and maybe some tips around that as well.
Oh, I love this question. Actually, this is the best question, because it's what I focus on in my business the most. Like it's so important when you hire a coach, to hire a coach who is actually living the lifestyle that you want to live, that they are an embodiment of who you want to become. It's really important, because even if you're just hiring them to coach one area of your life, they will inadvertently coach you to be like they are, to focus on the things that are important to them. So if they are, whatever it is, whatever you value, just make sure that matches up with your coach. and whatever your focus is. And so I highly value having a balance between health and wellness, relationships, and also my business and my personal growth. So those areas are all important to me. I didn't want a coach who only embodied one or two of them. I wanted a coach who could share that, could do all of those. And so one of the things that I focus on is just making sure that I'm growing my whole self. I'm not sabotaging one area of my life at the expense of another. And you can look at this in the ways that you take breaks, the way that you recharge, and the ways that you kind of get away from it all. Look to see what your patterns are. And if your patterns are self-sabotage in any way, if any of your downtime or your rejuvenation activities, if they sabotage another area, that's where you can see that eventually you'll burn out. You'll either sabotage your health enough that you can't work, or you'll sabotage work enough that you're not getting the money to come in, and then you're not being able to sustain your business. So just look at what you do for relief, what you do for downtime, and try to make it be as neutral as possible. So for example, binge eating, of course, wouldn't be neutral. That would be sabotaging your health in order to get a break from work. And then also working all of the time and not taking the time for your health or for your relationships is not sustainable. Eventually something's got to give. So maybe it's okay right now. Maybe you're like, okay, yeah, my life is way out of balance, but it's okay right now. Well, just be aware that if you keep going the way that you're going, something's going to give, and you're going to burn out in at least one area of your life. Maybe not all three. I kind of have three main categories, but there's so many more, right? But health and wellness, relationships, and business or finances are three core ones. And they're the ones where you will see people will either I know this is crazy, but people might even come home and yell at their spouse as a relief activity. It's a way for them they're stressed at work, so they need to transition, they need a break, and so that's their relief activity. So look at anything you do when things are just too much and then you need to step back and take a break. See what you do, and then pay attention to it. And then what you want to do is you want to look for neutral relief activities. So like things like taking a bath. And then if you can, do a positive relief activity like exercise, like eating a vegetable fruit smoothie, things that you actually enjoy, but that are positive. So I would say take any of the negative and look at those and try to eliminate those, because realize this, if it keeps going this way, I will probably burn out in at least one area of my life. And then take away the negative ones and then add the neutral ones, because neutral is way better than negative. And then read a fiction book, that's so neutral, right? There's not going to be any backlash from that. But make it to be positive. Listen to a podcast, read material that will help you in your business, read a relationship book, and things like that. So that is one way you can avoid burning out, is to look at your downtime and see if you're doing anything to sabotage your other areas of your life.
Yeah, awesome. Really, really powerful on how you frame that. And, one thing that I do in the middle of the day is I'll go for a walk down to the park and likely even take my shoes off and just do a few deep breaths, right? It's just nice to, recharge just quickly. It doesn't have to be long, in what you do these things, but just being present to allow yourself to recharge and switch your brain off a little bit so you can get back to what you're doing for that day. So I love all those little tips there on what everyone can do. And in business, planning is important. If we fail to plan, we plan to fail, as they say. And we've got these big goals, and especially at the start of years, people always put out these big goals, but then towards the end of the year, they're probably like, oh, I haven't completed all of the things that I wanted to complete necessarily. So I'd love to hear your thoughts around our business goals and how we can achieve them as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay, so talking about New Year's resolutions, or about, at the beginning, we set these goals for ourselves. And I could give you all the normal business advice, because there's so much out there that's so good, about making your goals, taking them from big goals down to, reverse engineering and creating each small, tangible, bite-sized goals, and then creating a schedule and putting them into your schedule, and then having your day totally booked I love how people will talk about how many minute increments their day is planned in. Are you planning your day at a 30-minute or 15-minute or 5-minute, and things like that. And when people hear about that, they think that would be exhausting. But actually what you're doing is you're saying, this is what I care about. This is what I want to do. And I'm making it happen. I'm doing what I want, what I care about. That's what a schedule is to me. And a lot of times people think a schedule is like hard or it's limiting. It's limiting. But if you think of your schedule as these are things you care about, you planned in, you have because you care about them, that changes your perspective about a schedule. So all of those things are excellent. And I'm sure our listeners have heard all the ones that I mentioned. But one of the ones that I would add to that is that you want your emotional state to be able to sustain the activities that you choose. So you want to have all these great things to do, right? You have this whole list, you have your schedule, and you sit down at your computer, you want to actually feel like doing it. Like, that's what I would add to it, is like, what do you do to take care of your emotional state and your processes to want to do the things? And one of the things that I focus on so much in my coaching is to find out if there's any area, anything in your life that you feel conflicting feelings about. You feel like you want it, but then you have to give this up. Whenever there's friction in your own self about your goals and the way that you want things to be accomplished, then you will be, this is when you need persistence and motivation, is when you have conflict within yourself. When you don't have conflict within yourself, you don't need persistence and motivation because you can't wait to do it. You're so excited. You can't be stopped. You are so driven. And it's not because you have this great persistence and motivation, although other people would observe that. You only need persistence and motivation when you don't want to do what you want to do. You have this conflict. So one of the things I really focus on in my coaching, I call it CORE, Comprehensive Outcome Review. And that is where we take all of the outcomes you care about and we write them all down and we make sure that all of them are represented. And there will be many that will surprise you. We call those hidden outcomes. So we find your hidden outcomes and then we explore them, and we're able to put all of your outcomes with clarity, so none of them are hidden or secret. If you have hidden or secret ones, they will conflict and you won't understand why. You will think, I just need to persevere, I just need to work harder. But if you feel like you need to persevere or work harder, it's probably because you have a conflict. So removing the conflicts by allowing you to pursue all the outcomes that are important to you without any hidden ones is such a powerful process. So I recommend that, and I have it available in my coaching if anyone has any more questions about it.
Yeah, awesome. Love that. Really, really powerful. Thank you for sharing. And I love a bit of the thing of what you talked about a lot. It's underlying that people would know is about relationships here, right? When you're talking about, with families, with other people, whatever it is there. And, especially, I think a big one, is with couples or parents and things like that, where it's, it's always interesting, depending on, what are you both business owners? Is one, business one's in in more of a job or more traditional jobs in both, and dealing with, that among everything else that's going on in their life. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts around like these dynamics and how we can relate better to each other when we have these challenges throughout our day.
Oh, very good question. So I have an amazing marriage. I've always had a good marriage, but I would say just in the last 10 years, it has gotten literally better and better every single year. Like becoming really, really good and then getting even better. And then in the last 10 years it's become something that is so amazing, so incredible. It's hard for me to even put into words. It's so good. It's so good. And so and it's not just magic. It's not just Stacy's doing something and nobody else knows how or what she's doing. I actually know what I'm doing. I know the stuff that I'm doing on a daily basis that makes my relationship with my husband amazing. And also my relationship with my 7 kids. They are co-founders in my business and they are amazing. Like we have these, every week we have a kind of a mindset 2-hour meeting, and the things that we discuss, the self-improvement, the vulnerability, the closeness that we've created within our team is out of this world amazing. and then to see them setting goals for themselves and achieving them and getting the results that they want in life, it's so rewarding. And so to realize, yes, Stacy has it, but actually Stacy knows what she's doing and she helps her clients do it. And so the benefits and the results that my clients have gotten are also out of this world amazing. So for example, I had a client who didn't have an optimal marriage. It was kind of like drudgery. It wasn't optimal. And the struggle he was going through, it affected every area of his life. And I think this is why you're asking about relationships, is because they're powerful. They affect every area of our lives. Relationships are so important in business, as well as with our loving spouses and with our children. Like, it's such a core thing. And so to have the skills to have strong, quality, beautiful relationships, that's really high leverage. When you leverage that, and because you're in an amazing relationship, and I just love to hear your face just light up when you think about and talk about her. Like, it's just so amazing, and your future together. And so if I could give you just a little bit of advice, it would be to kind of draw your mind back to the earlier analogy about the likey shoes, and that is to own your internal emotional state. Whatever you're feeling, be responsible for it, and don't blame anyone else for it. It seems like other people are responsible, but that's because you've had a pattern that says they're responsible. So whenever you're, it's like a bias. When you think something is the case, you keep seeing evidence that it is the case. But just be open to the idea that you're responsible for your internal emotional state. You create it. You set the patterns in place to have it be the way that it is, and you have the control to change it. So that it's just, one of my sons said, it's like we're responsible in our relationships. And he's like, we're independent, but we're together. So it's like we're co-independently happy. It's like we bring a happy person to the relationship. A lot of couples, they see that. I would just say that it's a traditional method, a traditional way. And when I say traditional, it means it's kind of found everywhere. And that is that someone else needs to make you happy. And then somehow that makes the love grow if they make you happy and you make them happy. But I'm here to say that traditional method causes the relationship to get worse and worse over time, not better and better over time. Instead, realize I can bring an independently happy person to the interaction. I don't need them to make me happy. And actually, this is a little bit of a sacred cow, but they can't even make me unhappy because I have to choose. It's our choice. So realizing how much power we have in our own self to create that joy, that feeling, and then we bring that to the other person and experience connection like you wouldn't believe. The connection you wouldn't believe. It's like this upward spiral that grows and grows to almost to where your physical body can't keep it all contained. It's so intense and it's so powerful. So that's my
yeah. I love that. Really, really extremely powerful. I'm sure everyone's got a lot from that. And yeah, one thing as well, just quickly, that maybe a lot of people have heard of or maybe not, is about like your love languages. So I think that's a really interesting one, right? Because for example, with me, I'm words of affirmation is my top one, and Irene, my wife, is physical touch. So if I know, because we all want love, right? In the end, from people on a deep level. So, with her, I need to make sure I hug her in the morning or hug her in the evening. You know what I mean? When I do that, because that's how she feels that she needs to tell me some good things about me, right? When I do good things, and because those little things matter to the person. So understanding don't just expect people to be on your level, so to speak, in a relationship, whether it's, your partner, your kids, in business, but understand it from their point of view. Because if you can speak on that level and connect with them on that level, then the true relationship is there. And then, you can go a bit deeper on that and do all these amazing things so that you can choose, how you want to be in that moment, which I love. So really, really powerful stuff there, Stacy, as well. And I know you're an avid reader and you do a lot of things. So firstly, I'd love to ask, because there's so many amazing books out there, what book has made, the biggest impact on you?
Okay, it's called How Emotions Are Made. And it's like, it says The Secret Life of the Brain. And it's by Lisa Barrett Feldman. And she is a scientist. Like she was able to really do a lot of science on the brain and neuroscience, and then make it be practical to understanding how the brain works and what assumptions we are making about the brain and how that affects our daily lives. The first half of the book is amazing. Like, it is a lot of science, so it's a little bit intense so far as like it kind of feels like you're reading a science journal at parts of it. But if you can just keep going, get through, and to get the whole idea of the way that it's breakthrough science and it's not commonly known, and so it's so fascinating. So How Emotions Are Made is, it's just amazing, an amazing book. I recommend, especially the first half. Second half, she kind of goes more into her own theories of how to apply it. So read the first half and then come talk to me, and I'll tell you some more sustainable ways to apply it.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. You know, I'm learning even more about emotions, so I'll definitely have to check that one out. There's always, yeah, and I find, depending on if you're a left brain or right brain person, right? If you're more right brain, it's a bit easier to do this stuff, but if you've got more left brain to yourself, it's probably a little bit more challenging, being that logical side. So even more so for there, but it's obviously for everybody, depending on how you're doing it. And you also have your own book, you know, Happy Life Results. So, you know, tell us more about that and what we can expect to grow from it as well.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so I wrote the book, and it originally was designed to be a self-coaching manual. So a person could go through my book without me, potentially, and get all of the benefits that they could get from having a coach. So that was the idea behind the book, and it's very powerful. It has so many of the concepts of my coaching, and it has a whole method for you to self-coach yourself. You start out as the guru, the teacher, and you learn all of the concepts in theory, and then you have practical application for doing it. And so I highly recommend it. I even have a free book group where I've gone through the book, and I created 167 videos that take the book paragraph by paragraph, and that's free to anyone. So it's called Happy Life Results Book Reading Group. And so it's amazing. Like, people have gotten such amazing results from it. It's an Amazon bestseller, and it's just, oh, I highly recommend it if anyone, but I do have this caveat, and that is that most people who've gone through it say it's quite heavy. It's pretty intense. And so you need support when going through it. Obviously, the best support would be me or one of the members of my coaching team. But if finances are an issue, you can have a friend or an accountability partner help you go through it. And the videos do make it much easier to understand than just reading the book by itself. But yeah, so that's my book. And it's on Amazon. Just Google, type in the search, Happy Life Results, Stacy McPherson, it'll pop right up.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds like a very, yeah, life-changing book on how we can, yeah, help us to grow as well. Love that. And, you know, coaching and mentoring, we've been talking about it throughout today. You know, we're both coaches, is massive, right? It's been important for me in business and life. And I'd love to hear from your point of view of how important coaching and mentoring has been in your business and life and what it's helped you to achieve.
Coaching's everything. Coaching, I wouldn't be where I am today without coaching, honestly. We have a lot of potential. We're so capable. We are amazing as individuals, and it's so helpful to have a coach to tap into that, because sometimes when we don't see it, the coach can still see it. Sometimes we can't see our potential, and the coach is like, oh yeah, remember, remember you're amazing. Like, to just help us be as amazing as we are, and then give us direction and give us accountability. I owe all of my success in business to my coaches, and I owe my transformation to my mentor. I have a mentor that I talk about in my book who lives this principle of being responsible and owning your emotional state completely in every area of his life, completely. And I would not be where I am without my mentor. So coaches and mentors are so valuable. I can't say enough about that whole role in people's lives. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. Completely agree with you there. Extremely powerful to get us to where we want to be a lot quicker and better at the same time. And yeah, it's been an extremely powerful episode, Stacey, of what you've shared with us today. And as we're wrapping up, what one key piece of advice would you give to all the entrepreneurs watching this today?
Okay, it would be to just start your journey. And I call my shoes likey shoes, because like represents a way that you like to feel, and it rhymes with Nike. So you can name your shoes whatever. Some of my clients have named them lava gloves, you know, just whatever it is, name it, make it your own, create your own analogy for it, and say, this is possible. And then proactively put it in your life. And time after time, I can't think of a more high leveraged skill that you could have across the board than to feel the way that you want to feel consistently. You'll get the results that you want. You'll have the relationships that are loving, rich, and warm. It will be easy for you to take care of your health, like making crazy diet changes and implementing new things and exercise programs that other people look at you and think, you're 50, you do what? You do the splits, you have a six-pack, like how is this possible? But really, when you do it feeling awesome, feeling great, you can go lift those weights, you can, you know, eat those green smoothies and protein shakes and whatever, you know, it's really amazing what you can do when you feel the way you want to feel while you're doing it. So it would just be practice, make the likey shoes story, make the analogy your own, practice it, tell people around you that you're doing it, and then you will get these amazing results.
Yeah, awesome. Love that. Completely agree. Really, really powerful on doing all of that. And yeah, we connected through our networks. So I learned about your awesome journey from coaching a variety of people in life to now focusing on coaching people in business and their relationships, and so much more around there. And you know, you're an amazing woman. I'm sure everyone will agree, and sure you continue to help people get what they want while keeping what matters most. You know, very grateful that we connected, and look forward to work with you. And it's been great to be on your podcast at the same time to do a nice little swap there to help each other grow there as well. So Stacy, how can people find you and get in contact with you?
Okay, so my email is stacymcpherson.com. So you can see on my background, stacymcpherson.com. And then also social media is a great way to find me, and it's #StacyJMcPherson. It's pretty easy to find me. There's not a lot of Stacy J. McPhersons on Facebook. I'm the only one. So reach out to me. And then also, if you want to email me, it's Stacy, STACY, @StacyMcPherson.com. So I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, awesome, guys. Definitely check out Stacy on her website, socials, and email if you like there to learn more about what she does, because yeah, she's really powerful in a lot of what we talked about today and much more. And thank you to everyone for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. And please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Cassiotis, or visit my website, athincassiotis.com. If you want to grow and scale your business, you can reach out to me on any platform to see if we're a good fit. And I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way we know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So remember to design your growth and results.